war hammers, heavy hitters in the AR-15 platform, other calibers besides the 5.56 or 223. That's what we're going to talk about today. If that interests you, stay tuned. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting tactics, ballistics the right way with God Almighty at the center, biblical, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I am blessed to serve you as host, military, law enforcement, private security, contracting, hunting, competition shooting background, bio bullet points in the show notes. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. Psalm 144. Let's get into it. The AR-15 is the de facto fighting rifle / carbine of our time, like it or not. It has its foibles, it has had its idiosyncrasies, its shortcomings, but it is the standard. And it's had a lot of kinks worked out in the last 70 years, most of that in the 5.56 platform. But you may want something other than 5.56. You might want to stick with the familiarity, the parts availability, aftermarket support of the AR-15 for whatever reason. But you may find the 5.56 or 223 lackluster, wanting in some area you're looking for, maybe just boring, maybe you're just bored of it. Maybe you need more power, maybe you just want more power again, maybe you just want something cool and niche. There are some heavy hitters in the AR-15 platform, all the way up to 50 cal, which we'll get to. I'm going to start by dismissing two pretty early and just briefly talking about them. The 300 Blackout and the 7.62x39. Ballistically, they're fairly similar. The 7.62x39 is a great caliber, but it's made for the AK, and you can potentially run this into some issues when you chamber it in an AR, a true AR. There are some things like hybrids that do pretty well, but a pure AR just chambered in that, you kind of lose some of the strength of the bolt face and things like that. You can do it, and although I think it's a better intermediate cartridge, you could really argue whether the 7.62x39 is better than the 5.56, and I've talked about that in length. You can look up that episode. You could argue whether it's better or worse. Some people will say one and some people will say another, but let's just say they're about equal in intermediate cartridges as far as one's got lower bullet weight, high velocity, one's got higher bullet weight, lower velocity, and you can pick which side of the fence you want to sit on that. So the other one is 300 Blackout. This is good if you want to turn your rifle into a pistol, going subsonic, basically, 220 grain bullet at 1,000 feet a second is pretty close to a 45 ACP. So I wouldn't call that better than the 5.56. It would just be different, but they are bigger caliber. They are 30 caliber if you want that. It's not really what I'm talking about. If we stick with the 30 caliber for right now, what I am talking about, what got me thinking about this is the hammer. When I was thinking about this and named the episode, the 300 hammer. It is roughly a 30-30, which is a decent ballistically. It's got decent ballistics made for hunting. The 300 hammer, available by Wilson Combat. Tailor-made to fit into an AR platform. It'd be a decent whitetail deer hunting round, the 300 hammer. I would argue it's arguably a little bit better, although it's a niche round. It, I think, is probably not as good as the 300 or the 30 Remington AR, which came and died. It was just ahead of its time. And Remington, as it does with many of its calibers, kind of screwed it up. But it came out at a time when hunting with an AR wasn't really a thing, when ARs weren't nearly as popular as they are today. Trying to get somebody to buy one at all was hard, let alone trying to get one to buy one to hunt with. It wasn't really a thing like it is today. But the 30 Remington AR, although pretty much dead, is a fantastic caliber. The 300 hammer is probably your best option for today. And since it's supported by Wilson Combat, unless something happens with Wilson Combat, you can probably be able to get the ammo. So it's a small niche round that's got decent ballistics in an AR. If you're going to hunt whitetail deer with an AR and you want a 30 cal, it's a good option. What is also a very good option is the 6.8 SPC. This was developed for military use. It was never mass adopted. It wasn't, it didn't replace the M4, the M16. It didn't replace the 5.56 as your common go-to round. It just didn't. But it was a good idea. It's an intermediate cartridge, unlike the 277 Fury, which is made for a bigger platform, an AR-10 type platform, or a full size. It's a full-sized, full-powered rifle caliber, the 277 Fury. The 6.8 SPC is an intermediate, so it's meant for an AR-15 type platform. It's got decent ballistics. It's I would argue a better round ballistically round per round than the 5.56. It's also going to be expensive, and it's going to be more proprietary stuff. But all in all, I'd say it's a good round. I kind of wish that it had caught on. I'm not sure that if I were in charge of military procurement, I would have went with the 277 Fury round. I think it's probably good for a designated marksman or a heavy in a rifle squad, or maybe even a fire team. But for every individual infantryman, as somebody that's an old infantryman, I don't know if I would have went that route. I probably would have went more towards the route of 6.8 SPC. Anyway, it didn't matter. They didn't ask me. So, but the 6.8 SPC, although it was never mass adopted, doesn't make it a bad round. It's a pretty good round, and it's also a pretty good round for hunting. And if you wanted something, although it's going to be proprietary and costly to stockpile, for a good, crossover defensive and hunting caliber, the 6.8 SPC is pretty good. It never took a big chunk of the market, but it's been hanging on for a long time. I forget how long it's been around, but well over a decade. So it's still there. It's still hanging around. The 6.8 SPC is a good option. 6.5 Grendel, it's a little baby. 6.5, it's nowhere near as powerful as something like a 6.5 Creedmoor, but I would consider 6.5 Creedmoor a full-powered rifle round. It's a full-powered, although people would argue with that, it is. It's quite a bit more powerful than most of these cartridges we're going to talk about. The 6.5 Grendel is a little baby compared to that. It's like its little brother, because it has to fit inside an AR, which has got a smaller footprint, got a smaller chamber, and magazine length, so it's smaller. This arguably you could argue one way or the other whether this is better than the 6.8 SPC. I would say if you're going to do any kind of long range stuff with an AR, and by long range I mean like longer than 800 yards, this is probably your clear winner. But inside of that, you could argue whether it's better than any of the other rounds we talked about. But it's got a decent following, and it's decently available, the 6.5 Grendel. And if you're just a 6.5 guy, this is probably your cartridge. No, I'm not going to talk about any of the ARC rounds. Or the 224 Valkyrie. I would not consider those heavy hitters. The ARCs, the like 6mm ARC, it's probably decent ballistically, but will it be around in a year or two? Who knows? Like the new calibers, like the 224 Valkyrie and things, they come and go all the time. The ARCs, the Valkyrie, will they even be around? They're available in a year or two? I don't know. People that love them say, oh, yeah, it's the latest and greatest. It's going to take over the market, and it'll probably flop like the 30 AR. Good caliber, but just didn't catch on. So I'm not going to spend much time on them because I don't know if they'll be around, even when you listen to this episode, if you listen to it next year or the year after. So I'm going to skip over those. One that has been around and sticks around and is a heavy hitter, the 450 Bushmaster. Been around so long, the company it's named for doesn't even exist anymore. Bushmaster, unless they came back, they died. So unless they came back, they're dead. But their cartridge, the 450 Bushmaster, is a decent cartridge. It's a straight wall 45 caliber cartridge, and I will designate this because it differentiates it from another caliber we're going to talk about. But the 450 Bushmaster is .452. If you're not aware, a lot of 45 calibers fall into one of two camps: the .452 caliber, like the 45 ACP, or things like that, and some fall into the .458 caliber, like a 4570 would be a 458. They're both 45 caliber, but not exactly the same caliber. I know that's confusing. But the 450 Bushmaster is a .452 diameter bullet. It's got decent velocity. It's got decent power. If you live in a straight-walled state, and for some reason they let you hunt with a straight wall and an AR, but not an old lever action 30-30 or something, I would say move. But if you're not going to move and you want to hunt with a straight wall case, 450 Bushmaster is a good one. And talking about straight walls, There is the 350 Legend, which saddens me that it exists, but it does. It's got decent ballistics. If you're just going to hunt whitetail deer with a straight wall cartridge, the 350 Legend would be okay. It makes me sad that they build cartridges based on ridiculous legislation, but they have, and that cartridge exists, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Moving on, the 450 Bushmaster. It's got impressive ballistics. It's 45 caliber. It's a straight wall. If I was going to hunt with straight wall, I'd probably go that way because, it wasn't invented for ridiculous legislation. So 450 Bushmaster is a good caliber for a heavy-hitting AR. Again, it's been around a while. Would be a simple cartridge to reload for. There is another caliber that is also a 45, but it's a .458, and it's the 458 SOCOM. It is a little bit more of a heavy hitter. It is a big hammer. It basically, and I know 4570 guys are going to just, because they just love the 4570 and reject this and vomit it out. But it's basically a 4570 in an AR-15. And it's got some really cool bullet options. It's kind of a boutique round, but it is arguably the most heavy of the heavy hitters. There's a bigger one, but the 458 SOCOM is a legit heavy hitter in an AR. .458 diameter, as you might deduce from the name. You got some pretty decent solid copper options for it, some pretty heavy bullet options, medium weight bullet options. It's a good heavy hitter if you just want a really heavy hitter in an AR. Now, if you just want to go to the most ridiculous, you can go to the 50 Beowulf, which is a 50 caliber in an AR. And that has been around for a while. And it's a 50 cal. So the guys that just want a 50, like the guys that buy a 50 Desert Eagle, you could get one. It exists. The Beowulf is a thing. Should you get one of these? Do you have a good, reliable go-to M4 type carbine or rifle in 5.56/223? Because if you don't, I'm going to tell you to start there. It's the standard for a reason. Also, what makes you a good rifleman is practice, and it's a lot more affordable to practice with a 223 5.56. So if you don't have one of those or two or three already, I would say get one of those or get a second one for redundancy and have it. Now, if you have that covered and you train a bunch and you just want a different caliber because you just want one, or you train a bunch with your AR and you just want to hunt with one or whatever, you might want to look at one of these calibers. But if you don't, I'm not going to tell you to I'm going to get an AR, but I just don't like 223, so I'm going to go out and get a 6.5 Grendel. No, stop. Go with the 5.56 or just go with a different platform. But if you have that covered and you have a good, reliable fighting AR-15, and you want something different or you're going to hunt deer with it, if I were picking one of these, I'd probably pick the 6.8 SPC. I think it's a good balance. I like those bullet weights. I think they do well for most things. So the 6.8 SPC is probably where I'd go. I might go with the 6.5 Grendel. I don't know. It's an okay cartridge for that kind of stuff. Any of the straight wall states are really not anywhere I ever want to be. I don't even want to drive through them, let alone be there and hunt there. But if I was going to do that, I'd probably pick, like I said, the 450 Bushmaster. And other than that, again, these are niche rounds. So they're for niche applications. So keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with any of the calibers. They all work pretty well. And there are some heavy hitters in the AR-15 type platform that will fit in that platform. Should you get one of these for hunting? Probably not, unless you just want to do it. Just like I like to hunt with a handgun. Not because it's easier, because it's harder, because I like the challenge. But if you're just asking about straight hunting, should you get one of these for hunting? No, you should get, for the cost of one of these uppers and the ammo and all that likely, just get a Savage Axis in 308 with a 3.9 on it, or get a Ruger American, whatever gen you want, whatever style you want, in a 308 or 270, right? Any of those are going to be a better choice for hunting, deer, whatever, than are these. You're getting this because you want to hunt with an AR, not because it's the best thing for hunting. I just wanted to be clear on that as well. They're cool calibers. They're good calibers. You may decide you want one. But for all the new listeners out there that think, I heard this and I'm going to build the ultimate hunting rifle. Well, if you're going to do that, build it on a bolt action. Or if you're just getting into hunting, this is not what you want for hunting. This is what you want if you've already done a bunch of hunting and you want to hunt with an AR. In my opinion, you do what you want. Anyway, with that, guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate all that you do. Tactical tip of the day, if you are thinking about going down this road, a little of research, some of these will be as simple as swapping out just the barreled upper. Many of them, you can use the same bolt, you can use the same buffer weights and springs, which if you're just going to swap back and forth and you're going to stick with the one AR lower and everything, that's going to be a lot simpler. Some of these are going to require a specialty bolt, different weights of buffers and springs, which you probably should know what you're doing if you're going to go down that road. So all these will chamber through an AR lower. Some of them will require a lot more work than others. So just be mindful of that. Don't just pay attention to the ballistics or the numbers. That is also important. Which is going to bring us to the tactical verse of the day. All whoever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief does not come except to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. Okay, I'm going to read part of that again and then give some comments. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. Do you feel like you have an abundant life? If you want a more abundant life, you don't get that with more stuff. You don't get it with more calibers. You don't get it with this or that. You get it in a relationship with Christ. So if you feel like you are yearning for a more abundant life, put more Christ in it. With that, thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.